Hey everybody, it's Buck WSR Weezer coming at you once again with the 96 Ford Mustang. It's got the 3.8 liter V6. The problem I'm hoping to solve today is an oil leak. Take a look here at the ground. It's the spot where I usually park it. See that big? It's been slowly leaking oil. And it's somewhere off the front of the engine. I'm thinking it's the front main seal, also called the timing cover seal. Well, after crawling underneath the car, I wasn't able to see a real clear spot where the oil was leaking from. But after thinking about it, doing some reading online, I determined that it was the front engine cover, also known as the timing cover. That gasket tends to leak on these 3.8 liter V6s. So we're going to go about changing that today. And I got the manual, the 96 Ford Mustang manual. This thing's so valuable. And we're going to try to follow the steps, although it's really interesting to me because sometimes they include steps that aren't entirely necessary, or at least I don't think they are. Like one of the first steps here as you're setting up is to remove the engine air cleaner and intake tube. I can't see how this is going to be in the way. Another thing that it says to do is to remove the cooling fan here in the front. That might be in the way, but I'm not sure. If it is, then we'll remove it later, but I'm going to attempt to do it without actually taking that step. I was also reading ahead, and they talk about actually removing the oil pan. And I don't think that's necessary, at least I hope not, because that would be quite a job. I don't think you actually have to drop the oil pan. Here's the gasket kit, Fel-Pro, kit TCS45951. I will give you a link in the description below about where you can pick this up from Amazon. And it's got the water pump gaskets, and then this would be this guy right here would be the timing cover gasket. And I was looking at the little page of instructions that come with this, and just by reading some of these things that it's suggesting to do, I'm gonna bet that they've devised a way to do this without actually having to drop the oil pan. Now I'm not going to show you every step of the process because one, I just move really slowly, not a professional. And the other thing is, I just think the video would be too darn long. So I'm going to try to highlight some of the steps as we go, but I may not obligate you to actually watch me take all those steps. So right now I'm disconnecting the negative cable from the battery. All right. In my case, that's an 8mm socket. Next, we're going to remove this serpentine drive belt. I got a 16mm socket on this wrench, and I think that's going to enable us to do this. Release the tension on that tensioner pulley and get the drive belt out of here. I'll examine this later. It looks pretty good to me. May not need to replace that. And we'll set that aside. And the next thing we're going to do is drain the cooling system, and I'm going to do that by disconnecting the lower radiator hose down there. So I'll have to loosen that set screw. Got my 5-gallon bucket down there because the water pump comes off as part of this setup. And I don't think that's going to be a real interesting thing for you to watch, so I'll do that, and then I'll come back to you after that for the next step. I went ahead and removed the radiator hose that runs from the radiator to the water pump, since we're taking the water pump off. The next step here is to remove the water pump pulley. There we go. I think that's all 4 of them. Dropped it. Water pump pulley. Okay, well, I know the water pump here has to come off, so I'm going to start going about doing that. It shares brackets here with the power steering pump. Shares this bracket here with the ignition module. So I'm not sure exactly how it's all going to come together or come off, but going to try, see what I can do here. Yeah, I did hit them with some WD-40. This car's got over 300,000 miles on it. Runs good. But this oil leak's getting to be a nuisance. Well, daylight is fading, and I was able to free up this alternator power steering pump bracket. It was a little bit of a pain, but I want you to see what I did. I've disconnected it. There's several bolts, 2 of which, this guy and this guy, I had to access from underneath, and it was a challenge. But what I did is, I don't want to put the weight of this on the hoses. I don't want to mess up I didn't disconnect any of the power steering hoses. So I rigged up this 2x3 across the engine and a piece of rope that's going to support that whole bracket, the alternator, the power steering pump, idler pulley. And it moved it out of the way of these 2 studs. And the weight of it will now be supported here by this rope and this board. And I can get back to working on disconnecting this water pump. Well, the sun is set, working under the lights, and I made my goal for the afternoon to get as far as the water pump, and got that off. Hardest part was pulling out this little neck here at the top. Fits in right there. Having gone to all this trouble, it might be worth my while to replace this pump, only because I don't know how long this one's been on there. Hard to imagine that it's original, and since I'm going to all this work, it might be a good idea to clean it. Well, we'll continue this again by daylight.